Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is your host Mayim Khan. Welcome to another episode of the Info Corridor Talk. Dear audience, the rapid and sudden Taliban advance in Afghanistan and the bloodless fall of Kabul to insurgent forces surprised even the ardent observer of Afghan conflict. The images coming out of Kabul airport reignited the memories of the fall of Saigon to communist forces in Vietnam and has irreversibly tarnished the US image worldwide. The events in Afghanistan have direct bearings on global geopolitical chessboard. External stakeholders are scrambling to secure their interest in post-Afghani Afghanistan. Pakistan is likely to be exposed to multifaceted security challenges as well. To talk on Afghan geopolitical and strategic chessboard, we are honored to have with us Mr. Zishan Munir. Mr. Zishan Munir is a strategic analyst and remained affiliated with various reputed research institutes. He is one of the editor of Maritime Policy Review Journal. He specializes in international humanitarian law and hybrid warfare. He is a lawyer by profession and is affiliated with reputed academic institutes as research fellow and visiting faculty. Sir, thank you for sparing time from your busy schedule. It is an honor to have you on our show today.
Thank you.
Sir, despite Taliban announcement of an interim government, international community seems reluctant to recognize the Taliban government. What do you think are the underlying causes of this reluctance on part of international community and particularly on Afghanistan's neighbors?
First of all, thank you for having me on the show. Allow me to say that it's an honor to have been invited at the Info Corridor platform. Before delving into the causes of international community's reluctance to recognize Taliban government in Afghanistan, we must first consider the overall geopolitical and geostrategic landscape of the region post-US withdrawal and Ghani regime's rather disparaging escape from the country. You see, the entire focus of international community now is to cope up with the fall of regime change in Afghanistan. Issues such as terrorism, refugee crisis, deteriorating Afghan economy and its resulting politico-economic fallouts, and most importantly, concerns of Afghanistan once again becoming a safe haven for global terrorist organizations have overshadowed the question of recognition vis-a-vis newly announced interim Taliban government. More importantly, Taliban's human rights record is also going to factor as a major element in their quest for international recognition. Mariam, we must keep in mind that human rights regime is one of the major foreign policy priority of Biden administration. White House has been utilizing the HR regime to redefine its relation with its allies as well as foes, as visible in Washington's reorientated Saudi policy, with Washington announcing to end support for Saudi intervention in Yemen. Concurrently, if we see the utilization of same HR regime to discredit China at international forums by highlighting its alleged human rights abuses in Xinjiang and Hong Kong is proof of the same. So far, we can see that EU has also backed this US strategy to further its own strategic as well as economic interests throughout the world. Hence, Western pressure or rather demand on Taliban to make commitments over human rights is going to determine the course of Western recognition of their newly formed government. Meanwhile, you see the issues I highlighted previously, such as terrorism and Afghanistan becoming a safe haven of close, coupled with concerns over Taliban's form of government, are some of the core issues which may impede quick recognition of a Taliban regime in Afghanistan by regional countries. But sooner or later, international community will have to recognize Taliban regime in order to prevent the emergence of the multifaceted factors which led to the destabilization of Afghanistan at the first place.
So, what do you think will be the major priorities of Taliban regime in Afghanistan? I mean, will it be economy, will it be security, or will it be foreign policy?
Well, your question, though being very important, is at the same time quite difficult to answer. Since the issues in Afghanistan are not only complex, but also multifaceted. More or less, all the issues you identified are indeed vital and must be in consideration of Taliban leadership. But in my humble opinion, security, that is border security as well as internal security, is going to be the top priority of Taliban regime. We must bear in mind the significance of Taliban's conquest of Panjshir. After takeover of the last so-called bastion of resistance in Afghanistan, it can be said with confidence that the war has ended in Afghanistan. Moreover, you see chances of revolts erupting in other parts of the country are also remote. As an example, you see with the flight of important and powerful warlords such as Atta Muhammad Noor, Rashid Dostum, the capture of Ismail Khan, though Taliban let him leave for Iran, we can say that the era of warlordism is over, and with that, chances of any revolt against Taliban rule. But the threats of attacks from terrorists such as ISIS Khorasan and Al Qaeda and their spillover into neighboring countries remain a major concern for Taliban. Hence, I would say security of border areas, particularly in northern Afghanistan, bordering Central Asia, is going to be the top agenda of Taliban. Secondly, maintaining internal cohesion within the Taliban is also going to be a headache for Taliban leadership. You see in US, Taliban found a common enemy and an element of unity, but with US gone, maintaining unity within Taliban factions is going to be a major issue, and I'll rate it as the second most important priority for the Taliban. Due to the paucity of time, I will not delve into further details. Thirdly, Taliban would want to stabilize economy and keep the money rotating in order to avoid an economic disaster, which may be detrimental to Taliban legitimacy and internal stability of the country. You see, Taliban would want particularly the neighboring countries to continue trade and allow Afghan workers to cross the border for livelihood, as the case, as witnessed earlier. So, another important issue is the announcement of an all-inclusive Afghan government. It is going to be another important priority of Taliban, since it is going to be vital in Taliban's quest for global recognition. However, likelihood of old or status quo figures joining Taliban government is meager, which tells a lot about the upcoming challenges for Taliban. Lastly, as I said earlier, human rights is going to figure as a priority in Taliban policy. How Taliban align or conform their worldview of human rights with that of West will determine the course of West-Taliban relations in upcoming weeks and months.
Sir, how will China and Russia react to the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan?
Well, I must say another important question. You see, the rise of Taliban creates its own sets of challenges for leaders in China and Russia, each of which see themselves as important regional power brokers. Since the Taliban takeover of the country, China has demonstrated an unprecedented level of positive reception, political endorsement, and diplomatic support of the Taliban. But there are, ferocious debates ongoing in China as to what the best strategy is moving forward vis-a-vis its poor, unstable, and destabilizing neighbor in Afghanistan. Beijing doesn't see Taliban as posing critical challenges, especially now after US withdrawal. Moreover, China sees Taliban as becoming more rational and pragmatic, as evidenced by the group's outreach to neighboring countries and the policies it has announced so far. Beijing will likely, give the benefit of doubt and endorse the group as long as it does not repeat anything outrageous especially regarding its support for terrorist groups. The fact that other countries such as Russia share similar views about the Taliban reinforces this Chinese position. Hence, China is likely to establish cordial ties with Taliban with an ultimate objective to extend Belt and Road Initiative to Afghanistan, as well as to tap the natural resources inside Afghanistan, such as rare earth metals. Meanwhile, when it comes to Russia, you see, Moscow is no stranger to Afghanistan, having fought its own bloody wars there for 10 years, which ended in a disaster. Moscow has, as we already know, that Moscow had opened diplomatic channels with Taliban as far back as 2015 and has held multiple rounds of inter-Afghan talks in Moscow since 2018. Russia justifies this re-engagement with Taliban based on common goal, that is the fight against Islamic State, or Islamic State for Assam province to be more specific. So there is a common ground between the Taliban and Russia. So in order to ensure the stability in Afghanistan and to prevent the spillover of terrorism and refugees into Central Asia, which Russia considers as its own backyard, Russia is likely to propel, likely to formalize its ties with Taliban government. Lastly, the fears of China taking over Afghanistan's economic and connectivity sectors, and firmly tying Taliban into an economic partnership with Pakistan's assistance, Russia would want to maintain decent ties with Taliban to mitigate Chinese influence in Afghanistan. So in my opinion, these are some of the major factors which might propel both regional countries to form some sort of working relation with Taliban.
Well, we have discussed extensively on the regional and global aspect of regime change in Afghanistan. Now let's talk about the impacts of Taliban takeover on Pakistan. Sir, as we've seen recently that despite anticipation, Pakistan has not recognized the Taliban government, which is quite surprising for many. So what do you think is the reason for that?
Well, firstly, allow me to say that we must shun this notion as if Pakistan or its military single-handedly supported the Taliban, which enabled them to defeat US and NATO forces and its so-called allies, in Ghani regime, or that the Taliban are nothing but merely a subservient proxy of Pakistan as propagated by India and some sections in Western media. Why I'm saying that is that Taliban recent behavior and their diplomatic maneuvers in the recent past exhibit that Taliban have now a more diverse, rather diversified support base. During their war with US, Taliban sought and probably gained support from other regional countries, particularly Iran. The diplomatic engagements initiated by Moscow also highlighted some sort of Russian support for Taliban as well. So one thing is established that Taliban have a broad support base. Now it has implications for Pakistan. That is, Taliban don't see Pakistan as the sole patron like they used to consider it in 1990s. Hence, Pakistan has lost the sort of leverage it used to have over the insurgent groups, over the Taliban. So Pakistan alone recognizing Taliban is not going to make a huge difference. But if Pakistan can use its good offices, which I'm sure it is already striving to do, and convince the regional and international community to establish diplomatic ties with Taliban, then it is going to be a fruitful step for global peace and security. Hence, Pakistan must not rush to formalize ties with Taliban regime and should for a collective recognition and should strive for a collective recognition and then move on towards the rules of business with Taliban. Secondly, you see the geostrategic, the global geostrategic landscape is evolving rapidly. Sudden changes are being observed. What's happening in Asia Pacific, to be more specific, in Pacific Ocean between China and the US, and what's happening in Middle East. So Pakistan must consider all these factors before taking any major step, particularly in Afghanistan.
Sir, I would like to thank you once again for joining us. And dear audience, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Links are given in the description below. Until next time, Allah Hafiz.